This show is a member of the Sorgatron Media Podcast Network. Find out more at sorgatronmedia.com. This show is brought to you by IndyWrestling.us. Check out IWC, RWA, and more. And listeners like you, support this show at patreon.com/Wrestling Mayhem Show.
Hungry as fuck, but I ain't starving yet. Chain for the pain, cocktail dog set. Never said I was a gangster or thug, but I'm an animal. Feeding for the taste of the blood.
Hey guys, it's the Indy Mayhem Show. I'm Mike Sorg at Sorgatron on the Twitter here in Pittsburgh, PA at the Sorgatron Media Studios. And I'm still here a week later with Joe Dombrowski. He hasn't left yet. We're still wearing the same clothes. It's been a long week.
Well, this couch is so damn comfortable.
That is true.
I didn't want to get up at any point. I've had to go the whole week living off of one package of Arby's curly fries, and I just think he could have done a little better with catering.
That's true. That's true. I've learned from the best indies. But there was a sandwich plate the other day. I was impressed in not the place I expected it.
Where would a sandwich plate be that you didn't expect it?
Not at that indie show.
Oh, at the Indy.
Yeah.
I thought you meant they put it in like a weird location.
No.
They hit it in a ceiling tile or something.
Well, it is the one where it's like a folding, like a card table, and then there's like bottles of water and snacks and stuff. I'm just there in the middle of everything.
Man, you guys had bottles of water? That sounds high class.
Oh, yeah. Oh, no, I'm really excited when we have bottles of water. That's what those Meadville was always nice. But anyways.
I got a mug.
Enough of that. Hey, go check out everything WrestlingMayhemShow.com, IndyWrestling.us, 412-206-WMS0, good times at WrestlingMayhemShow.com. Contact us if there's anybody you think we should be talking with or subjects we should be talking about on the show or whatever the case may be. Joe, let's get right into it because we've been talking for a while, and I have.
Is Jimmy still here?
I still have,
leave?
He's gone. Hold on. Nope. He's gone. The muscles have left. It's just us.
So we got to take a rain check on the muscle side.
Yes. We got enough of that last week. You're just coming off a really interesting trip.
Yes, I am.
As we're recording here, you're just a few days removed from. I was happened to be. Maybe ironically or whatever, as chance would have it.
It was poetic. It was serendipitous.
Maybe it was poetic. I was not at wrestling that night. I was doing a live stream of music at a video game conference on Twitch. And what do I do to make sure my Twitch connection is going so I can verify the connection later? I pull up Twitch, and what do I watch on Twitch? Wrestling. And AAA happened to be happening on Saturday night. And I'm watching it for a little bit, watching the crazy stuff. It's loud. I don't have the volume up. And then I get a message, hey, I think Joe Dombrowski is on TripleMania. And I turn my iPad up, and there you are. There you are. And I'm like, what the hell is Joe doing in Mexico? He should be in Cleveland at his own show.
I was asking myself that question the entire time. No,
yeah.
It was a whirlwind of a week. I know that I got to give a shout out to Kevin Kleinrock and Master Republic because I know Kevin had been talking to people down there about me and recommending me to Conan and things of that nature. But it wasn't official until the Tuesday beforehand.
Mm-hmm.
I did not get booked until the Tuesday beforehand. I didn't get my flight information until the Thursday. I flew out Friday morning. Incredibly thankful of the opportunity. But, man, that was such a breakneck pace as far as just prep and getting notes, getting ready, talking to whoever I could.
Mm-hmm.
A number of people were very helpful from luchacentral.com, and I reached out to my old buddy DJ Z and that sort of thing to really immerse myself in the AAA product as much as I could. But, yeah, what a way to come in. Biggest event of the year for AAA. TripleMania 27.
You're like Jim Ross at WrestleMania 9 without the toga.
That's a very fitting analogy, yeah. Paired with Matt Stryker, English announce team, and I had heard, I'd heard and I'd seen some clips regarding the prior year's English announce team and the good and the not so smooth that came out of that and some of the technical snafus. So I was just ready to give it my all and kick ass. But to do that all on 4 days' notice, which,
wow,
I mean, biggest opportunity in my career, I have to say, based on the scope of AAA, the size of that crowd, the reach of that audience. That's the most feedback I've gotten of any show I've ever done. So not only am I preparing for that show, but I'm preparing the people that are going to fill in for me to run my show in Cleveland for premiere.
And plus, you were already booked on this show, so obviously you were preparing for that.
Well, yeah, that was the extensive meditation I was doing, as well as the jiu-jitsu lessons.
Right.
But yeah, it was just a breakneck week for me. And my whole thing, whenever something like that comes up, my whole thing is always loose lips sink ships. I don't talk about it in advance. I didn't tell anybody before I debuted for Ring of Honor, except for those who needed to know. I didn't tell anybody that I was doing the TNA house show down at Ross Draver, except who needed to know. I didn't tell anybody about this except for who needed to know. Because if I tell everybody and make a big to-do about it, then what happens if the flight gets canceled? Then what happens if, there's some sort of technical issue? There's a lot of ifs that go into traveling that far and live television, or live broadcasting, I should say. So to see
it's okay. It's Twitch.tv, so it counts.
Yeah, fair enough. So for the inundation of feedback to come in, the first I got a text from Jay Wellington Farnsworth like 20 minutes before we went live, after like the Spanish announced team had like leaked like a pre-show cell phone video, and he just "Are you calling TripleMania?" And I didn't respond to my messages till after the show. I'm like, is it too late to say yes now? The tweets came in of people like amazed and surprised that I was there, or speaking kindly about myself and Matt together. And thankfully, me and Matt had worked together before, if you remember. We had done...
he flipped me off that night. I remember that.
Okay, cool. So you guys have a relationship too.
Oh, we do.
Better than mine with him, apparently.
Good.
He had done a few matches for IWC.
Yeah.
And I kind of helped facilitate getting him in there because I wanted to sit under the Stryker learning tree. And we'd also done Border City Wrestling together for Scott D'Amore when it was Border City versus New Japan, East meets West. And that was really our chance to feel each other out and get into a little bit of a groove together. So I was very thankful and fortunate that I had a chance to work with Matt in an event like that. And Matt couldn't have been more helpful for me. Working with me with the show, endorsing me, validating me to the audience that really didn't know me yet, helping keep me at ease before the show went on the air. Matt's a pro at this. He's the only man to have ever called a TripleMania, a WrestleMania, and a Wrestle Kingdom.
Wow.
So Matt was an old pro at this. He knew what he was doing. And just very thankful for the opportunity. It's been surreal ever since, knowing I was able to slip into that role and just feel the energy and the crowd and just the set and the pyro. It's, not to discredit any independent company, but it's a long cry from, being in a closet-sized building with 20 people, It was truly a big league experience, and I'm very fortunate for it.
It's and you mentioned the exact things I was going to compare that to Wrestle Kingdom, WrestleMania. This is their WrestleMania, Wrestle Kingdom of Mexico, basically. It was, for those not familiar, AAA does regularly stream their events on Twitch, so Americans, we get to watch them very easily, actually.
There's an English language feed you can sign up for, you can subscribe for. If you subscribe, you can watch the event for free. Even to this day, you can check that out. Yeah,
so you can go check that out if you missed that. And I was getting the messages too, which like, is Joe on TripleMania? I'm like, wait, what do you mean Joe's on TripleMania? As I'm doing my job at the time in my production, and again turned it up, and somebody was just like, I'm like, this guy sounds familiar, for like friends of the show, and I turned it up and listened for a while. I'm like, that's Joe. I know who that is, because they've heard you here or other productions that we've done and put out there over the years too. So what scale was, like, how big was that arena? How many people were there? Obviously far cry from the indies here in Pittsburgh. You've worked ball field shows with Ring of Honor, bigger shows like that, lucha shows. That it's just massive in comparison, right?
Yeah, I didn't get an actual count to know if it was a sellout or not, but I know that there were upwards of almost, if not in excess of 20,000 people there. If you go to my social media, I posted a little 15-second kind of panoramic deal of me going around the building, and you can see, like, if I shot that building and someone had told you that we had just finished a Raw taping, you'd buy it.
Yeah.
It's and there were people all the way up and down. Every section, every side that the set wasn't on, and then behind me you had the giant screens and the big AAA lettering. It felt like a big league production, and it absolutely was.
According to the Wikipedia, they're calling it at about 18,000.
Okay,
that's amazing. That's a huge arena.
Oh yeah, the biggest crowd I've ever worked a show in front of, without a doubt.
Definitely. So what is one? Have you been to Mexico before?
I have never been to Mexico.
So not only that, and you're not a stranger to world traveling. You, as we have heard on commentary, you used to go to England.
That is a true rumor, but this is my first time going to a country where English was not the predominant language.
Wow. Yeah. Okay.
So that was a little difficult to navigate. Thankfully, a lot of the staff there were bilingual. I spent a lot of time with Vampiro.
You did a Lucha Expo and some other stuff with.
Yeah, we did Expo Lucha last year. We're going to be doing Expo Lucha together in 2 weeks in San Diego, August 16th and 17th, I think, if that's a Saturday and a Sunday. Sounds right. I don't know if that's going to be available live or not, but luchacentral.com would have all that news. And Vamp's been great to me. Vamp had some great advice before I went out. I was expecting the worst, because you always expect the worst. You're always prepared for the worst. But everybody was very accommodating.
We've heard some really rough stories about wrestlers in Mexico. So.
Yeah, but most of them are told by DJ Z, and he always gets himself in trouble.
That's true.
But yeah, it's another animal. And even Vamp and Stryker were telling me stories where, if you wind up in the wrong place you're not supposed to be, if you get off the bus at the wrong stop, you may never get seen again. So I was cognizant of all of that, and I didn't get a chance to do a lot of touristy things or sightseeing. It was the wrestling stereotype. It was airport to venue to hotel to venue to hotel to airport to
right. Yeah. So from that's awesome. And so how working on framing the next one. So here we're used to, obviously we see New Japan's kind of English presentation if we get New Japan World or Access or something, or we're familiar with the Spanish announce table and the row of commentators we get to see on pay-per-views these days at WWE. Is it like kind of treated as that secondary thing, or because it's such a different kind of market? Like were you guys like kind of the how is that kind of framed down there for the secondary commentary?
I mean, I think you can draw comparisons to how Spanish announce teams would be treated up here.
Right.
The on-cameras were all the Spanish announce team, which, by the way, one of their Spanish announcers is one of the famous ex-WWF Spanish announcers, Hugo Savinovich, who for years would have his table crash through on pay-per-views with Carlos Cabrera.
Did you get your table crashed through then?
I did not.
Oh.
We were up
you
on
were
the
up
stage.
There. Yeah,
we were not at ringside, thankfully. Yeah. But the on-cameras are on Hugo, and I think his partner's name is Jose. And I'm sure there was more, attention being paid onto them than us. Stryker had told me that in the past, sometimes the director that would be in his ear would be Spanish the entire time, speaking Spanish. We had English in our ear this time, so I think AAA was taking a concerted effort to make the commentary, the production, the whole presentation as seamless and as smooth as it possibly could be, because they've gotten criticism for that in the past, certainly. But it seemed like there was an effort, and some of the stories that I had either read on the internet or maybe been able to pick up through happenstance or hearsay really weren't there. AAA really had their act together. They really presented a top-notch product. They really brought forth, I think, a quality performance on all levels.
And if you're not familiar, if you can't tell by some of the names we've already mentioned with Dean Vampiro and Matt Stryker, AAA did have kind of a relationship with Lucha Underground for the longest time when they were running that TV. So you do see some familiar faces or masks across those. So it kind of makes sense. AAA is the biggest, I believe, in Mexico. Like they are basically Mexico's WWE. And
I
so
mean, you could consider them the second largest promotion in North America. if you'd
yeah,
like to put it.
absolutely. So it makes sense for that kind of reach out because they already kind of have a foothold between that and your Impact Wrestlings and AEW, I guess, and seeing a lot of those faces up here.
And that's only going to grow too, not just through talent sharing,
absolutely.
but just again, the world's getting smaller and smaller, and people want variety and alternatives. And AAA is in the best position to present themselves as that alternative product to bring that lucha libre style. And
it's probably easier for me to go to a AAA show than it is a New Japan show right now.
I think it's pretty
in
fair.
general.
Yeah, I think it's pretty fair.
I mean, on location. Obviously, New Japan's coming to America a little bit.
Well, so is AAA, but yeah.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. They're doing were they doing? I feel like they were doing like some kind of joint shows, like Ring of Honor, New Japan was doing, if I'm not mistaken. If not that, I know the talent comes through a lot of the indie promotions a lot.
Well, yeah, and you can look at guys like Pentagon, El Cero Miedo, and Rey Fenix as guys who, in my opinion, are doing for Lucha Libre what the Rey Misterios and Psicosis and Juventud Guerrera did in the 1990s, because you're exposing that lucha style and lucha culture to a different audience that wouldn't normally, maybe they'd see it here and there, but they wouldn't be immersed in it. They wouldn't be as emotionally invested in it. Rey Mysterio turns so many young kids on to masked wrestlers and lucha libre and just the history and the lineage that goes along with that. Penta and Phoenix, arguably, other than the Elite, I mean, maybe the hottest wrestlers in the world today. And that puts more eyes on Lucha and certainly more eyes on AAA.
Again, way more accessible than it was when they tried to do that in the 90s. I mean, you had to go find tapes back then, right? Absolutely. Now it's literally go to Twitch TV and it's there.
And Conan was a big reason that Rey Mysterio was discovered in Psicosis and why they were brought up here. And now Conan's an important part of AAA present day as they continue to branch out.
Absolutely.
So you can see that constant.
I saw him sitting on, when I was flipping in between sets that I was working, I was like, oh, hey, there's Conan in this battle royal drinking a beer on the
surprise
corner?
I mean, Matt hypothesized that it was a Pure Leaf sweet tea, but I mean, it could have been something else. I don't know, but yeah, Conan was a surprise entrant in that Rumble style battle royal. Vampiro was another surprise entrant, and Vampiro and Conan have years of bad blood and beef between them, so that you got to believe that's coming to a head. But there were a lot of surprises. The original LA Park made a return on that event.
Nice.
Ayoko Hamada came down on that event to replace a women's wrestler that had been injured. So it was expect anything that night, and you just had to roll with the punches.
I love it. Definitely go seek that out. Listen to Joe's commentary on there and Matt Stryker and everything. I mean, I think if you've been excited about like the Lucha stuff up here with Lucha Underground or what you've seen on any of the programs, even down to Lucha House Party, you should do yourself a favor and hit up AAA. Joe, that's not the only thing that you're working on. I understand you had a good conversation with somebody you name dropped here just a short bit ago with DJ Z as well.
My good friend Michael Monte Carlo of Orlando, Florida, better known to you as DJ Z or Joaquin Wilde.
Michael Monte Carlo?
You don't know about that?
It sounds familiar. I can't remember the backstory on that one.
Guess you got to buy the release. No, I'll blow that one. Michael Monte Carlo. See, Shima Zion was sick of the name Shima Zion because it was very difficult for dumb people to spell.
I misspelled it several times on this show.
You just outed yourself as dumb. I wasn't going to say you, but
like
other
3
promoters.
eyes in there. It's ridiculous.
There were some eyes, but whatever. Kurt Angle had 3 eyes.
Not in his name.
No, that'd be weird.
He didn't have any eyes in his name. That's why he exhausted them all in his catchphrase.
Hey, remember, there's no I in team, but there's no you either. So DJ Z was sick of the name Shima Zion.
Right.
And he wanted to reinvent himself.
Right.
And nobody would let him reinvent himself because the name Shima Zion is so, related to him.
Mm-hmm. For better or for worse.
Yeah, you don't want to start from scratch. You want to plug the name Shima Zion, who's been to Japan, Mexico, and IWC and all this other stuff.
Philippines and like the country, Russia.
Well, yeah, I mean, in later years, but this is back in 2008.
Context,
we're talking about.
Context. I was figuring out where we're at.
Yeah, we're in 2000.
All right, let me go back in the time machine.
Yeah, so I mean, young Shima Zion is a 22-year-old lad looking to make a name for himself, and he wants to change his name. And Wouldn't you know, the only person dumb enough for him to actually talk into letting him change his name was the guy with a heart of gold that wanted to help his friend and also wanted to convince him to come on to his TV show.
Mm-hmm. That'll be the one we just talked about last episode if you guys are following along.
Yeah, that'd be PWO/Prime TV, available on ProWrestlingLibrary.com.
There you go.
And
plug.
He gave him a hot manager named Don Decadence, that he helped name, by the way. Gave him some promo time to introduce himself. And okay, let's see what we have here. Let's see what Michael Monte Carlo is. Sell me. And because I think at one point he'd even said, like, I won't come do your show unless you let me use this name. Like, fine. It lasted one match.
No way.
And eventually he realized, oh, this is a stupid idea because A, the name sucks, and B, it's not really me. So that's just one of many hidden Easter eggs in the entire history of Michael Paris, DJZ, Joaquin, Wilde. And I flew to Chicago, and 48 hours before he moved to Orlando to become an NXT superstar, we spent 3.5 hours putting his entire career and life on recording.
I thought you were going to say celluloid.
I almost said film, but that wouldn't be accurate. Yeah. But we put it to camera, and we told the story of who he was and who he is and who he's going to be. And to me, his story is so interesting. Mm-hmm. The son of a mail order bride. His father purchased his mother. That's a real thing that happened. Hearing about his love of wrestling and the one moment as a kid that scared him off of wrestling and made him refuse to watch it for 2 or 3 years. The not politically correct reason that got him back into wrestling as a fan. To some of the bizarre things about his career that a lot of people don't know. A lot of people don't know that he, at age 16, designed the very first Ring of Honor logo. Mm-hmm. And, you know, stories of him traveling, stories of him getting hurt, stories of him in TNA, stories of him being profiled by National Geographic Television, stories of all of the weird names he's had as a wrestler and a DJ and a would-be male stripper.
He bought a heart one time on a reality show.
He did. I didn't ask him.
Yeah, we had him on shortly after that one.
I do remember that now. But we covered as many bases as we could. The good and the bad of TNA, the good and the bad of the independents, mm-hmm. international trips, horror stories, having to find a way back home on no money. And we talk about what's to come and how his family feels, how his friends feel, how he feels. Is he going to miss this world he's leaving behind of independent wrestling to become an exclusive talent? And I was really a big fan of our conversation. It was at times deathly serious. It was at times quirky and lighthearted. It was at times deep, and it was at times just very direct. Mm-hmm. We really crossed over every emotion that you could, and that's going to be out in probably about a couple weeks now. You'll be able to tell more than me. You'll be the one making the menu.
No
We're
pressure.
finishing our project this week, and then we've got another one.
Yeah.
But whenever Sorg decides to get off his ass and do it, you can purchase it on IndyWrestling.us and ProWrestlingLibrary.com and Joe-Dombrowski.com if you like DVDs, which I do.
No pressure.
But
no pressure.
No, there's no pressure. Because you know what? If you fall behind, you just delay the release.
But I'm okay. I'll juggle
live?
this between Waffles with Women and refs with Rigatoni, and we'll get this going.
When are you going to start fried chicken with commentators?
Okay,
me,
man.
Farnsworth,
man.
We can invite LaMotta because we're out of good commentators.
I was
going to
put you in the pancakes with promoters, but that's a good idea too.
I don't fashion myself as a promoter.
Okay.
I'm a booker. I am a locker room runner. I'm a director of operations. But other than the time when the promoter of Question went to prison, I have not actually technically promoted any events entirely on my own.
That is and I don't want to get into that, but like that phrase is so what the fuck indie wrestling.
The promoter went to prison. He was sentenced on a Monday, And then
A Monday and a Monday is also when you got to call about the Catch a Predator segment.
That's
too.
true.
Not the same Monday. I want to point out.
Not the same month. We're 2.5 years apart. But on Monday, he got sentenced and put away. That Wednesday, I think, Wednesday or Tuesday, we had to run a show inside of a prison.
Mm-hmm.
As part of like a community outreach thing we were doing, which was not paid for by tax money, by the way. It was paid for by money prisoners earned. And then on that Thursday or Friday, the promoter got transferred to that same prison. So if we would have just waited 48 hours, his ass could have helped set up the ring.
Wow.
So that, and then the TV taping we did the next month, I had to promote on my own entirely amidst genuine nervous breakdowns and panic attacks. I don't say that as a punchline.
I think I was given a hand at that point. I think I was around for a bit of that.
You were around for, you were. I think you were at that show that I had to run alone where we were missing a wire to the sound system.
Oh, yeah.
Because it wasn't my sound system. The guy that owned the sound system was in prison. I couldn't ask him where his wire was. What do you want from me?
It was like 45 minutes too, and I was just like, nobody's setting up the sound yet. And I went over and looked at it. I was like, guys, you know, we don't have the shit for the sound.
But it's okay. We did a West Side Story Battle Royal stall.
It was great. Pedro just announced everybody coming in, and it was so good. It was good.
That I'm proud of that because we got through it, and I think if I'm correct, we made like a $16 profit, which I totally
not negative.
I totally shoved it in that promoter's face. Next time he complains about losing money, look what I did. But yeah, that I had to be a promoter. I don't want to do that by myself.
No,
I hate that. My bread and butter is behind an announce table or in front of a camera interviewing somebody or producing a documentary or something like that. I'm not a promoter, but I will gladly eat fried chicken with commentators.
Okay.
I know it's not like it doesn't have the alliteration of like waffles with women.
Yeah.
Like it's two different C sounds. I'm sorry, chicken with commentators doesn't really work.
We did breakfast with champions.
We got to do like let's do bacon with broadcasters.
Listen, bacon with broadcasters. I don't know. The girls were really interested in bacon for coming back, which means we're doing a part.
Well, do they have to have the rights to everything? What's left for me?
That's true.
God,
you can take it up with Katie Arquette.
She scares me.
Anyways, I think we were talking about DJZ.
Hey, DJZ, he scares me too, but he's in Florida, so I can talk bad about
There you go.
No, but it was an incredible interview, and he was very open and very candid. And I'm going to put a lot of rarely seen hidden extras on there too.
Mm-hmm.
There's a match he talks about with Johnny Gargano from Youngstown that's very rarely seen.
Really?
They went like 20 minutes in front of almost no people.
Jeez.
I'm going to dig that one out. His very first match as an 18-year-old in IWC versus Jason Gorey. Me and DJZ did an alternate commentary track for that. So be on the lookout for that. I'm not just putting him over because he might be hiding in the studio somewhere still, but Jimmy DeMarco.
Mm-hmm.
Him and DJZ had an incredible, not just an incredible match, but an incredible video package of a training vignette called Rock Warriors, which was totally lovingly ripped off of Memphis Wrestling and the Macho Man Randy Savage video package. If you search Rock Warriors, you'll probably find both of them on YouTube. I have to put that on there because I love Memphis Wrestling and I love DJC. So it's everything and I love Jimmy DeMarco. It's everything that's right about pro wrestling. Mm-hmm. But I'm gonna have a whole disc full of extras like that.
Nice.
Pull stuff out of the archives. We talked about the match he almost died in against Homicide, so I have to include that.
This isn't the Mexico one. This is something else.
Yeah, this was when he was 18 and he dove off the top rope and went splat on the hard floor because nobody caught him. There's a match with Adam Cole from Baltimore that's been rarely seen that'll be on there. So it's just whatever it is, it's going to be 6 hours all things DJZ until Sorg emails me and says we're out of room. We got to abandon ship.
That's an issue.
I'm just gonna keep sending him things. I'm gonna Google Drive the F out of Sorgatron.
We had a really serious conversation about extras on the Lucha DVD we're working on. So
we did. But yeah, anybody who's interested in DJZ, I implore you to check that out in a few weeks because it's the perfect timing because it closes the book on him as an independent wrestler.
Mm-hmm.
And it opens the book on what's to come, and that gives him a chance to reflect on everything openly and honestly. No politics, no affiliations, no feelings he has to worry about being hurt, because he's moving on to something bigger and brighter. Yeah. And I'm very proud of him as somebody who's known him since he was 16, called his first match as an 18-year-old. Couldn't be prouder of him to see what he's doing today, and it was my pleasure to help him tell his story.
Fantastic. I can't wait to check that out. And all through the DVD. So,
I'm going to make it 9 discs just for Sorg.
Oh, boy. Please.
It will not be 9 discs. Please do not demand refunds.
Please buy tons of digital copies, guys. Anyways, fantastic. So there's a lot of stuff going on. Like I said, we talked about the network. I mean, we're all going digital these days with these things.
You know what's funny, Sorg? Is we've been talking about going digital and MP4 and VOD platforms and how we're in the new tech age. You know what I'm going to do when I go home? I'm going to go home and take out a VHS tape.
Okay.
That's called 1995 Jim Cornette Fan Q&A that was absolutely bootlegged and the quality is atrocious. And I'm going to watch that with the biggest smile on my face. And all of you kids with your HD and your 4K can suck it, because I'm going to have to turn the volume up to max just to hear Cornette above all of the static and loud silence, because a 1995 bargain basement camera captured him with some fat guy's head in the way who sat in front of whoever bootlegged it.
See, now I think that's an opportunity. I shouldn't be saying this on air, but taking those VHSs, capturing those in full shitty VHS quality, and putting them on a digital platform.
I would love to do that with the Cornette interview, but it is very inappropriate for reasons I will not share publicly, but you can ask me that after the show. But I do have some VHS stuff that I will be digitizing from a film library that has not been seen in almost 20 years. If you know me personally, you've probably heard me bring it up, but
almost as if forever.
I've been working on it for a long time, but it's not my fault. The owner of the footage recently moved from state to state, so I will put the heat on him, and I will not mention his name, because even at 78 years old, he could still beat me up. But a lot of your favorites are going to be in matches that you've never seen before. In a way, you'll get to see it. Hopefully, in the next 6 to 8 months. We'll see.
There you go. Little teaser for you guys. Anything else going on?
Sorg's going to have to do those master copies too, so if he just decides to not do it, then I'm going to give his private phone number on my social media, and you can call him and ask him, where the F are my Jimmy Yang matches?
I think my private number is pretty much already out there. That's not hard to...
Well, I saw it on the bathroom wall walking in.
Okay. What?
I think DeMarco wrote it.
Well, there's that too. Anyways, Joe Dombrowski,
What's up?
Joe-Dombrowski.com, where you can link to all that crazy stuff.
I can tell you're sophisticated, because I, as a layman, will just say dash, but you'll actually say hyphen.
Hyphen. Dombrowski.
And that's where you can get all my stuff on DVD, and we got the links to ProWrestlingLibrary.com, the digital platform. Over 250 hours, ton of archives. And, of course, if you don't like Pivot Share, if you don't like Pro Wrestling Library, you just don't like me, which is a fair amount of you. Or if you really like Sorg, you can go to IndyWrestling.us and get all the new up-to-date releases. But I'm digging deep in the archives, man. I'm pulling stuff out that you didn't even know existed. I'm pulling out stuff I didn't know I existed. What about the 10-year anniversary we celebrated last week?
That's right. If you didn't check out, if you're listening to this, technically part 2 of Joe Dombrowski here in the studio with us, but we did do the... And this phrase by itself, we did the 10-year anniversary of the To Catch a Predator promo with Jimmy DeMarco on Sports Time Ohio 10 years ago that almost got them kicked off of the air. This is something that I had heard all aspects of from one mouth or another over the last 10 years. I think it has been described in detail on this show shortly after it happened. But it's a piece of the pro wrestling, I guess, Rust Belt pro wrestling lore.
It's part of the fabric of our culture now.
It is.
You know what, Sorg? Me and DeMarco Catch a Predator, that's just a good old-fashioned slice of Americana.
The one we don't want to admit.
It's the American dream, if you will, baby.
Thank
we
you so
clubbering tonight.
Thank you so much, Joe. I think I've been working with you the longest of anybody in pro wrestling on projects.
For that, I will congratulate you and also offer my condolences.
There you go. That seems very appropriate. Go check him out. And, of course, check out everything, including his stuff on ProWrestlingLibrary.com and also some other of his stuff over at IndyWrestling.us and IndyWrestling.network. Just get all those, and you'll have the pure Joe Dombrowski experience.
Subscribe to all of the wrestling.
That's right. And look out for all those for new opportunities for even more wrestling, as always. Of course, check out everything there. Check out matches with a lot of people that we've talked about here, including whatever Shima Zion was that week, Jimmy DeMarco, and so much more.
I will sell Gargano matches till I die.
We got plenty of them. We just he was randomly in a clip when we talk about Jimmy DeMarco.
We brought DeMarco back, beat the crap out of Johnny Gargano, and you know what? Gargano never got his revenge. You tell me who the real superstar is.
Yeah, exactly. We'll see DeMarco on Takeover 30. So
running in and out of the crowd probably with that hammer.
They keep going back to Cleveland, so we never know. He may just pop up with that hammer.
Did we talk about the fact they shot Gargano at Turner's Hall? Have we talked about that on this show?
No, we have. You know what? Okay, you're right. We should. You currently run in Turner's Hall.
We do.
My
promoter owns that building right now.
That's right.
And WWE was shooting footage for NXT TakeOver WrestleMania weekend.
Mm-hmm.
They were in Brooklyn, right? Johnny Gargano versus Adam Cole. And the whole story was Adam Cole is this proper, well-to-do, lavish, well-off, man made of money who can have access to any personal trainer he wants, any equipment he wants, any spa he wants to get prepared and get trained. And Gargano went gritty. He went back to his roots. He went back to Cleveland and was running the sidelines in the Cleveland Browns Stadium, and he was jogging down the pothole-filled roads. And he also went back to his roots. He went to Turner's Hall, which is genuinely the building he was taught to wrestle in.
Mm-hmm.
In 2005 and 2006 and 2007, he was there all the time working out, taking advantage of the open ring. And, just watching him reflect, go back down to the basement where one of the old rings is still sitting, get a chance to see the building, smell the building. It's not the prettiest. It's got a lot of history and mileage on it, but Jeremy Borash was there helping film. As Gargano kind of toured his way through the building, and very cool experience to have Turner's Hall featured on the WWE Network. And if you don't have the network or you don't feel like looking for it, there's an extended version, almost like like a pre-UFC fight video package of the entire training regimen of Adam Cole and Johnny Gargano. And they spend a solid, 3-4 minutes of that 20-some minute piece on Gargano at Turner's Hall. And again, just a surreal moment to see Johnny, who I've known since he was 18, 19 years old, now go full circle, and I'm able to be there as he returns to Turner's Hall and reflects. And Gargano's a guy I'm so proud of. I knew he was special from almost day one. Mm-hmm. Here's the first thing I ever noticed about him to know he was special. I would go down to the basement at Turner's Hall, Cleveland All-Pro, and you'd see wrestlers of all shapes and sizes, all ages. Skinny guys, fat guys, old guys, young guys. And it was just a normal pro wrestling locker room. And some guys were focused, some guys were lighthearted, some guys were just relaxing before their match. I'd look at Gargano, and Gargano was pacing. Always pacing. And I'd look at his head, and it'd be like hung down. And I'd look at his eyes, and I'd just see razor sharp focus. And I could see him just running through everything he wanted to do in that match, and just boom, ba-boom, 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 and just the whole rhythm. And you could tell, in his mind, in his heart, there was not one thing more important in this world than going out there and having the match of the night that night, and having a performance that people would talk about. And especially as a young kid, having opportunities with Alex Shelley and Nigel McGuinness and Christopher Daniels and guys like that. That's how I could tell how badly he wanted this. Once we started doing the PWO and the Prime stuff, and he was able to grow into himself a little bit, and I realized this is the most well-rounded guy we have. This is a guy I can put in a main event against literally anybody and he'll deliver. This is a guy I can have represent this company and go on the mic and thank everybody for coming and send them home and know he's going to do justice to this position. And it was only a matter of time before he was top guy in my company to top guy in a major independent, which he was for Evolve, to now a top guy for a brand of WWE being NXT. And you know what? There's only a matter of time before he's on the top of Raw or SmackDown too.
I think that the time that I noticed that when I saw Gargano after one of the resolutions where he won the belt and being there with the fans and giving a kid in a wheelchair the belt and getting pictures with him and everything, there's just like, okay, yeah, no, he's made for this, right?
Yeah.
But then, even running into him, I think he was deep into. He might have been champion at the time when we WrestleMania 29 weekend. I remember him walking around in the suit. That was when he was kind of doing. I think it's the first time he did the super serious side of Gargano, and it was just like a whole different vibe with him. And again, another just he's getting somewhere, and it's just a matter of time.
Yeah. And he's one of those guys that lives it, that breathes it, has that passion. And there was a point, I don't know what his regimen is now. There was a point he was going to the gym twice a day, every single day he wasn't wrestling. And there were some points where he would have to deal with some personal setbacks or some personal tragedies, and that would motivate him further to just put all of his energy into wrestling. And I tell young kids today who are depressed or having relationship issues or have personal trauma, if a family member's sick, whatever the case is, that's weighing on them. If you can somehow take that energy and channel it, and instead of your vice being alcohol or anything if your vice can be just working your ass off at the gym, or if you're hurt and you're down because you can't wrestle, study those promo tapes.
And those that aren't wrestlers, I am personally, a lot of I'm motivated kind of in a similar way, right? Where you creatively, or that thing that you want to do and create and excel at, not just wrestling, could be commentary, could be something else around wrestling, could be competitive video games, it could be art, it could be whatever. What anybody out there that kind of runs this, so they find that passion and invest in that. I think that helps anybody. And
if you're not going to do it to your fullest ability, then you're cheating yourself.
Absolutely.
And it goes back to, the guys that just want to wrestle once a month, or the guys that tell me they take this seriously, but don't put the effort in on professional gear, or on emailing promoters, or on the gym, or on, handling themselves professionally. I'm happy when I get to a new opportunity, but once it's over, it's okay. What's next? Can I come back and make it a regular thing? And if not, where am I going to move on to? There are so many guys I see that get into it and they'll give it a really hard 6 months or a really hard couple of years. But eventually they just get comfortable and complacent. And then they're just working the same place every 2 weeks, every 4 weeks. And the audience knows them, so they're already over. They don't need to work hard. So they get into a holding pattern. And it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. If somebody tells me, oh, I can never make any money doing this wrestling stuff, why the F not?
It's a business.
It is it's a very hard business. Okay. And yes, the odds of you making it into the NFL are very hard. Yes. The odds of your band getting signed to a record deal are very hard. And the odds of you getting a WWE contract are very hard. But it's easier to try than to prove that it can't be done. And you can't prove to me you can't do it.
There are plenty of... And also, we're not in a world where I think wrestling can be compared entirely with the NFL, unless that is completely your goal, is to be the guy on that particular stage. But I think there are plenty making livings at this too.
100%.
Right? So
100%.
It's, it is a business where if you work your ass off and get in front of the people, you can create a fan base, right?
Yes.
So, I mean, that makes it more accessible, I think, than an NFL.
In the course of my career, which is 16 and a half years, to the best I can do the math, I am reasonably sure I have made 6 figures doing pro wrestling. Never in a year, obviously.
Yeah. But
all total, 6 figures. The very, very low 6 figures.
Yeah.
But 6 figures.
I mean, look at your wide network of content. For instance.
Yeah, and it's because I don't put all my eggs in one basket. It's because I will go to your show and do commentary or ring announcing, or I will go to your show and do producing, or I will voice over during the week at home, or I will merchandise at my table, or I will do my content online.
You have been the expert. Everybody, and you know, you hear it, and you know, everybody comes like, well, goes Joe with his crazy. I call it crazy Joe's table of stuff.
I take that as a compliment.
I know, and you should, but you are. You see every angle, and you're taking advantage of every angle in this wrestling business.
If you want it bad enough, you'll find a way. If you want to make excuses, you'll find a way there too.
Yeah.
What's the old phrase? There's 3 kinds of people in this world: those that try, those that give it all they got, and those that do whatever it takes. That's Dr. Tom Pritchard line. And I look at myself as a do whatever it takes guy. And it took me a long time to learn and figure it out.
Yeah. No.
But if you want to make this work, you'll find a way to make this work.
Yep.
And that's the bottom line. And making it work to everybody is different.
Yes.
You know, everybody's goals are different. Some people want to go to Japan. Some people want to go to WWE.
There are plenty of people, even locally, or that have done that and said, I've done everything I wanted to do with wrestling.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, and I know several people who say, I don't even think about WWE. I just want to go to Japan. You know, and maybe they end up there. You know,
and I hope they do.
Yeah.
You know.
I mean, and that is it. You know, whether fans think, well, they didn't make it to WWE, they lasted 6 months at WWE. Colt Cabana is a failure because he couldn't make it in WWE. No, Colt Cabana is one of the most successful wrestlers.
Colt Cabana is DIY as they come. He's changed the game. He's inspired so many people.
Fucking rock, and I think that's the cool thing about independent wrestling.
Young Bucks. I mean, would the Young Bucks have done what they were able to do if it wasn't for people like Colt Cabana? I don't know.
And look at other opportunities that come up because of that.
There is more steady work. There are more people making a living off of wrestling now than probably since WCW closed. And it's going to be more so once AEW gets up and running.
Oh yeah.
But you've got guys working for Ring of Honor, MLW, New Japan, AAA, all these different places that are giving people these opportunities. And if it's a place like MLW or NWA, which maybe doesn't have a full touring schedule, then you can supplement that on independence, you know, and because you have a bigger platform.
Yeah.
There's so many opportunities out there. When I started, it was WWE or bust. TNA just started.
Yeah.
Ring of Honor just started. They were destination places.
But
you couldn't make a living there. Not even close.
They were several years from being on TV.
Yeah, absolutely. When I started, again, keep in mind, even though the internet was here, it was a much different world. When I started, I figured, well, Japan really isn't a goal for me. Mexico really isn't a goal for me because what are they going to do? Fly me to Japan to do English commentary? That doesn't make sense. But last weekend, I'm in Mexico as part of the English announce team.
Right.
You know, because the world has grown so much where now New Japan and AAA do have an American audience. When I came in, they didn't.
Yeah.
Except for the tape traders.
Kevin Kelly is a regular on New Japan.
Kevin Kelly might be my daddy, but he will never come home from Japan long enough to do a paternity test. Steve Carino told me he was my dad, and I have not disproven it.
There you go. Oh, fantastic. So much going on. Joe, thank you for carving time out of your busy travel schedule.
Thank you. You're gonna let me out now. You're gonna unlock the door.
Sure.
Finally, right?
Yeah. She did lock the door on the way out, didn't she?
Well, I've been here for a week now.
That is true. We will let you go there so you can finally finish that DJZ thing and get me those files so I can work on that DVD. ASAP.
Joe-Dombrowski.com.
There you
go. Or hyphen if you're dignified. ProWrestlingLibrary.com.
For every level. Thank you so much. And of course, a lot of the names, like I said, you can find on IndyWrestling.us, his WrestlingLibrary.com, and IndyWrestling.network too. And
watch people eat waffles.
Oh yeah, watch. And
do they chew with their mouth closed?
Well, I had to do a lot of editing around that.
How did you find out honey badgers ate waffles?
When I said, "Hey, how about waffles?" and I got a lot of emoticons. That's how. And
congratulations to Honey Badger's shoulder on becoming famous.
That's right. Hey, I was texting her and she's like, "Oh, I got cut out of the shot." I'm like, "No, we saw it's like we saw the back of your head, and you got a speaking part on Raw."
She's not aware of this, but I'm actually retooling the poster for the next premiere event to where the promo shot is just her shoulder and back from behind,
as seen on WWE Raw.
Yeah, that way I can put the logo on the flyer to advertise.
Oh, geez. And we'll be working in the picture of the Rev Ron Hunt beside Dolph Ziggler in that security spot from SmackDown for his posters, too.
Touche.
As seen on Raw. Well, it's great. It's great. Guys are everywhere. It's amazing. We'll see you guys next time. Until then, support indie wrestling and apparently AAA at this point, too. We'll see you guys again. Just support wrestling.
You know how I act now. If you got a problem, come and see if I'm a back down. Act wild. Steady sipping check now.
This show is a member of the Sorgatron Media Podcast Network. Find out more at sorgatronmedia.com.